Hello, everyone. So, welcome to World Without Borders podcast. So, I'm here with my dear Megan and Suzy to talk about a very important and up to date discussion. We are going to talk about environmental sustainability and what else they want to talk. So, can you, Megan and Suzy, introduce yourselves, please, to our followers?
Awesome. Thank you, Renata. Hi, ladies, and hello, everybody joining us. Good to have you with us for this new episode. I'm based in Cape Town, South Africa. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Suzy. I'm hosting this podcast. I'm based in Kentucky, USA, and I'm from Cameroon. I'm looking forward to talk
Yeah.
more about this.
And I am Renata Anderson. I am originally from Brazil and I live in Portland, Oregon, in the US. So, environmental and health was the thing that I dedicated all my career. So this is something that really touched my heart and everything. And with everything that's going on in this planet today, we want to talk a little bit what is going on in Brazil, in South Africa, in Cameroon, in the US, and whatever, and we would love for you to tell us about what is going on in your country. Where are you watching us from? So, and I'm going to also say if you like this discussion, please subscribe to our channel, like it, and share it because we want to spread this for more people as possible. So, how is it look like for the South Africans and Cameroonians? So how do they see and discuss? Are they worried? Are they touched by that? So I would love to hear from you both.
I,
Awesome.
I
So yeah,
yeah. Megan, you can
Good.
go ahead, no problem.
Okay, thanks, Susie. So yes, Renata, there's definitely, as far back as I can remember, there's been a concern about the environment locally in and around South Africa. I remember when I was at high school 30 years ago, 35 years ago, I was part of an ecology club, an environmental club that was run by one of the teachers at our school, but it was external to our school curriculum. And it was a space I loved because we went camping, we went out, we explored, we climbed mountains, we went to the ocean. So it was really about educating kids about the environment and what we need to do to be sustainable in that space and to look after, care for our environment. Because, South Africa and Cape Town, where I live in particular, we have a really, really huge fauna and flora kingdom. And we've got so much variety in this space. We've got Table Mountain, and we've got so many nature reserves and just beauty in nature. So, sorry, I think it's normal for most of our people to really enjoy that. We are a lot of outdoorsy people, most of us, but also that we grow up feeling the need to protect it. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I grew up with, and that's my feeling around that.
that's
I
very
think
interesting. So you were very young when you start to discuss that in the school.
mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Even my parents, when we were
And
growing
your
up in the
parents.
household, my parents were very aware of the environment and they grew up outdoors as well. So that I think is something that we pass on very automatically almost from generation to generation because that's just the lifestyle we have. It's quite outdoorsy and there's so much to enjoy here. And so it becomes a part of your life.
Thank you. So, how was it in Cameroon, Susie, for
See,
you?
I'm gonna bring two perspective here because we have to be truthful from the beginning.
Mhm.
We are in a platform where we really talk about our point of view. So at first, where I'm from, like my count, my family, we're not into environment at all. So, but my sister was. She went higher, and then in her education, she chose environment. I'm from a city, so it's not really a thing. We don't see a lot of trees.
Oh, Suzy, I think you touched something because your volume it changed.
Is it better?
Oh yeah, much better. Thank you. Yeah.
Perfect. So
Okay.
I was just saying that we don't see a lot of like trees. Like I'm from the city where farming. My mother, she's in farming, but we not really. We barely go to the farm or things like that. So connecting to nature was not really a thing.
Yes.
Where I am from. And so we do not learn about the environment that much. We
Mm.
only learn about being clean and respecting the environment, like not throwing bottles on the floor, like just be clean. I know that if you have to go trash can, you have to go home, things like that, not throwing things on the road, but like addressing the soil or the environment itself was not a thing for
Yeah.
where I come from.
Yeah.
Now when you go and higher in education, like you go to high school, then you go to like have your degree, the perspective change because now you are exposed to this as a real effect. Now it's not more that mother nature is angry. That's the reason why I know there's a lot of suspicious things you hear every day, that what is happening, the heaven is angry, that's why it's raining and things like that. Now you understand that it's not the heaven that is angry, we are affecting our own nature, like the cutting down of trees and like things like that. So once I understood that perspective, I started working with a lot of NGOs that actually work with environment. So we started like planting trees in school. I didn't know the importance of planting tree. I was like, why will you waste your money and go and buy a tree to come and plant it somewhere? Like that's a total waste of. I would have used that money to do something else, like a typical thinking I was burned. Like with time, I understood that okay, the air you breathe actually, the photosynthesis they talked about in school, that's what we need to have that good health that we have, the good food and natural food. And so it totally changed my own perspective on like I want to plant more trees. That's why I went in an NGO and created my NGO called I Could Explore because I was like, I want to take care of nature. I want to go back to because I saw all the sicknesses that people were having just because of nature. That means it doesn't only affect the nature or the air we breathe, it affects our body, the food we eat, the way we think. So all those pathology. And I was like, okay, how can we make it better? And it's all start with Mother Earth and like giving the right nutrients back to the land and so that the land can give us the best they have. So that is my own perspective about environment. And now I am very back home. I was not an outdoorsy person. I didn't even know what outdoorsy was a thing because I was always out anyway. So now I know that being outdoors is like connecting to nature. Back home, I'm from a city. We don't walk barefoot. I don't know. I don't know. That's not a thing.
Okay.
So now when you go to like the rural areas when I used they forced me to go it was not a liking stage. So they forced me to go for vacation so that I should connect back to my root. I was like, "Ah, which root are you talking about?" But yes, it was amazing. I had my first experience in the farm. So I went to the farm, though I was banned from the farm. It's not funny, but I was. But at least I touched the ground and I was like, I tried to like connect back and it was just so fantastic. And then I knew that okay, maybe I'm actually attracted to the environment itself and how pretty it was to like touch the ground and have that all over me. But I love the whole process of it. And back in the rural areas, there's no lights.
Mm.
I didn't know that there is no light and you have to go and fetch for water. And I was like, this is it. This is the worst punishment somebody can ever give me my whole life. Like how do people even survive here? Like, and I come from a city where we have everything, a huge house. You have water at your pace, you have lights whenever you want. So you have iPads, you have these things that you can use, and then you go to a place where there's no lights and you
Yeah.
don't have a phone.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
And I was like,
Yeah.
how do people survive in my century? The people my brain it was just like that shock. I think that's when I came to the understanding that nature is important. Like
Mhm.
a tree is really important. And you see that we walk barefooted sometimes when we go to the farm. We don't put like when you enter the farm, you remove your shoe and then you enter the farm. So
Yes.
I was like, and it was so nice. I was like, though I was banned from the farm, I can say honestly, I'm saying the truth. But the little experience I had I was the one bringing food to people because they said I cannot make farm. It's just not my thing. But I was bringing the food to the people. I'm like, okay, I can at least cook. But even cooking, back in the rural areas, they don't cook with all the ingredients we used to cook. They cook with salt, and that's
Yes.
it. I'm like,
Yeah.
how do you not cook? Like, if I don't have onions, garlic, ginger, all these
Yeah.
spices, I am curry, then what am I cooking?
Yeah.
And you just go there and they cook with salt and the food is still good. I was like, there is something we are missing in all of this. Like,
Yes.
this technology or this life, there's something we are missing, and that only the environment brings it to us. And also, people are less depressed there. Like, you go to the city, we are all depressed with all the technology. We are like, oh, life is just
Yes.
killing us. And then you go to the rural area, you see the joy they have. I was like, there is something that the environment is giving back to us that we don't acknowledge in the city or things like that. And so it was like so marvelous. We have this experience. We go on first water, we bathe in the river, guys. I was so ashamed, but I did bathe in the river. It was so nice, like pure water, like water from the rocks. And I was like,
Mm.
hey,
Yes.
life is really pure. Like, if my dream house can be somewhere, it will be in the middle of nowhere with the rocks and the house. I can just like go and just connect to nature my whole life. It's just so, that's my own thought about
Love
like
that.
environment and all that.
Yeah.
That, that's very interesting because Suzy is much younger than us. And I was surprised that you have this kind of classes in South Africa, Megan, because
Mhm.
when I was in school, nobody talked about that. And I think the interesting thing looking backwards today is see like that we were so urban, like that going to the beach was having fun with our friends, but
Yes.
it was not because of the nature by itself, it was
It was
the
fun. And
just
friends.
fun with friends and music and doing barbecue and everything, but it was not deep in this discussion that we have today about sustainability and environmental. And as Susie said, the energy that change our lives, no? Because today we have already research that say how that influence our lives, you know, like
Yeah.
hiking in a forest, swimming in the ocean, that changed our biochemic. So it changed our mood, our state, our mindset, and everything. So today we know that. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, and I went to a nursing college and nobody talk about that. I never have a ecology class, for example. And and today we know, unfortunately, that the biggest cause and biggest threat of death and disease is is this disruption in the nature that we can
Yes.
say, like with the biodiversity loss and also climate change and everything what is going on. And I feel so I know a lot of people are disappointed, mad, worried, whatever, about what is going on in this planet today. But I see some hope that because we are bringing awareness, we are
Yes.
talking about. So I think this is a beautiful moment too, when people start to see like, okay, when I talk about nature, it's not far away that I have to take my car and travel. I am nature. So it doesn't matter where I am nature. And we don't see ourselves as a species as
Yes.
part of nature. It's like we and something else. And and I think the experience I have living with indigenous communities in Amazon show me the opposite. It was when I have like the shift in my mindset, like because they see the rivers, the forest as God,
Yes.
like it's a spiritual God from the nature. And we see just trees or resources that even worse. See
Mhm.
that, oh, I can make money from that. Ooh.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think this is
Yeah.
the most danger way to look at the nature. Like, if nature is there to serve us, and I can
Yes.
take it because it doesn't matter. And so I think this is a very important discussion. And
Yes.
and it took a long time, because I went to work with indigenous communities in the 2000, like 25 years ago, and nobody talked about that in that time. So, of course, there was a few people talking about that, but not the way we talk today. And 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 people didn't feel like that was a problem that they have to be concerned about. And I think today, even in the urban areas, we can see already the impact of climate change. It's
Yes.
touching people that was never touched before because they
Yes.
were safe before,
Yes.
no? So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I see a little bit like that. So,
And
uh,
the impact too is real. Like, we do not see the impact you do not think you see the impact a lot, especially when you're in the rural areas, because they still do things a lot as things
Yes.
were done before. But when you come to the urban areas, you feel it so much. You feel
Yeah.
like the rainy season is becoming shorter, and because of that, less crops, less food. The
Yes.
dry season is becoming too long, and so this dryness is bringing new pests in the land, and because of that, new diseases, and people are dying more than ever because
Yes.
of the effect of a tree we cut that did not have to be cut. And there's a lot of other things. So, and back in like my, especially my country, I will talk about what I know. There is not a lot on regulation on how to cut trees.
mm,
Mm.
It's not you have the money, you can buy your way
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
mm,
So it's
Yeah.
not restricted in like this forest is not to be touched. It's not a thing. You buy
mm,
your
Yes.
land, you can do whatever you want with your land. It's your portion of land. You can build on it, you can destroy all the trees and then build on it. This is your land, it belongs to you. So
Yes.
you see only NGOs, for example, that comes to certain places and say, okay, maybe cut this and say, okay, I want to reserve this forest. Like this forest will not be cut. It's my land and I decide what I want to do. And I want to build a school, and then they have the activities in the forest. You see, only those few people that can protect, knowing that I need this tree to breathe. Because if I cut this tree, I'm gonna die, you
mhm,
know?
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
very few people think that mindset. So the little trees you actually see in the city and that are preserved, know that those people, most of them, they understand that nature is a thing that will kill us if we don't protect it.
mm,
Right.
And then they
Right.
protect it. And a lot of people don't have that mindset. A lot of people do not. I did geography at school, so I know the importance as a main subject. So I know the importance of a tree and a plant. 2 years of geography, like biogeography, like the earth, how
Yes.
important it is for us. So I have a different perspective. But for those
Mm.
that never even had a chance to do the geography, I know that we are fed by this natural plant, and also it
Yes.
helps your brain like to relax. People don't teach us that. And also having natural plant in your house also um uh, help you distress and brings you fresh vibes, like things like that we don't see a lot. So I think it's all about, like, if you spread the word, the education, and it becomes part of our identity. Everybody, if it was me, everybody should have a garden in his place, in his house somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree with you, Susie. And again, like anything else, I just think it goes around awareness. And typically, there are people that prefer to remain ignorant about it because it will affect their pocket. Like Renata said, if you look at it as a resource only, you're not going to want to hear that what you're doing is not allowed because you won't be able to make money off it, right? So there are people that are well aware and prefer um, pillaging what they can and using those resources. But there are also people that absolutely don't have access to the information. And yes, I understand that we're in a digital age, but at the same time we're in 2025 and we still have half of Africa that doesn't have infrastructure, doesn't have schools, doesn't have internet access. So how can you tell me people are fully educated, right? So from my perspective, yes, I was really blessed and really privileged to have grown up between an ocean and a mountain where I could play in the mountains. That was my play. That was my play park, the mountain. And then I had so many friends and family members from our community. We were a little fishing community initially, and then our parents and some of the families got moved out due to the apartheid rules and the government, and we moved into a area slightly further away, or quite a bit further away from the ocean directly, but also still um, close enough for us to enjoy it. So my father was someone that had a job, but he were weekends he would dive and he would go and take crayfish and abalone and all of these things out of the water. We lived off the ocean at least half the time because my father loved diving. His friends loved diving. We would spend whole days, whole weekends on the beach with
Oh,
my dad and his friends, and all the kids would be there, and we would run wild and swim and do our thing all day on the beach. And the parents we had loved nature, they were in nature all the time. So that got transferred across because they took the time
mhm.
to teach us. And I was also very lucky in the sense that both my parents were they believed in education and knowledge. And so my dad loved any topic under the sun. My father and I used to sit outside at night and stargaze, and he would teach me the constellations.
Oh,
And we would be at the beach, and he would say to me, "That's that kind of fish, and this is this kind of shark." And that's how I grew up. So for me, it was just normal. And then when I got to start meeting other people that weren't from the area and weren't growing up in that same way, I was like, how can't you see these things? How
mm,
can't you see what's around you, right? And I think the important thing, as always, is just making sure that we reach everybody,
mm,
because I know that we see ourselves as, and always have seen ourselves as, the superior species.
mm,
However, we can't deny what's going on around us in nature. And if you listen to people speaking around you these days, with snowing Florida and snowing Texas, and all of these natural disasters happening all over, which is quite unusual for some areas. A lot of the wiser people, and Suzy mentioned this earlier, the wiser older people that are in tune with nature will say
mm,
to you, nature's not happy, you know something needs to be fixed. And that wisdom is what we need to carry forward. And Renata, same with you in the forest. Those indigenous people knew
mm.
what kept them alive and well.
Yeah,
A
I
very
remember
cool
once,
project.
yeah, talking with an old indigenous guy that visits São Paulo, the city where I was raised, and it's the biggest city in Brazil. And he said, you have dead rivers over there." Be-
Wow.
and I was like, I never thought a river can be alive or dead, because
Yes,
it was so polluted. Then when
yes,
he looked to the river, he started to cry. He said, "They killed the river here." And for us, it's just like, oh, this river, it smells so bad. We hated the river. Like, instead of have compassion from the river, because the rivers are the veins of the,
yes,
in the nature. Like, okay, we need rivers and we need alive rivers. And I
yes,
love the fact that you used to dive with your father and the things you learned from your father, because when we dive, we understand that there's so much life inside, the superface that we can see from outside, because we
yes,
look at the ocean and we say, oh, there's nothing going on there. And
exactly.
And
It's
there's another word, and even the scientist doesn't know for sure what is going on in the ocean, because it's a lot of things that we still have to do much more research about.
right. Right.
And and I,
Yeah.
I and when we realize that the ocean feed 3 billion people a day, it's like, wow,
Yes.
wow. I don't think
Absolutely.
it's a good idea to
To look after
ignore
it.
that, because
Yeah.
3 billion people, can you imagine that? The
Yeah.
power of these oceans. And
Exactly.
and I was talking with a friend who works with supply chain, and we said, we have I did my PhD in operation management department, and we never have any classes about oceans, and we know that the transport around the world is the biggest part is through the ocean. And so,
Yes.
and we don't know, like, oh my
Yes.
god, what is missing here? We need to make more connections to
Yes.
understand the impact of the activities. And
Right.
so it's so much to talk about this. It's like, it's huge,
Yeah.
huge.
And Renata, so let me first rectify. So I didn't dive with my dad. We were just free on the beach.
Wow.
We would swim, all the kids would swim, but my dad and his friends were subsistence divers. So they would dive to be able to take home whatever sea life we had. And we literally lived off that half the time. But the experience of being there and being able to observe how they treat nature, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, if there was an undersized fish or crayfish being taken out, they would put it back. There was
Mhm.
nothing, my father and his friends would not say, oh no, nobody's watching us. Let's take this undersized. No, we were told as kids, this is the regulated size, and we don't want to find you with a fish under that size. If you
Yeah.
are fishing and we are diving, we don't want to come out and find that you've been like taking those shellfish off the rocks because those are protected. We always knew those things, right? And I agree again with you, Renata. I did my very first official job out of school was marine research. I did marine research for 10 years. I worked on the research vessels, and I had the experience of actually doing the exploration at sea, the research, the hydroacoustics and all of that. And there is so much we don't know about what's going on. And it's for all the life that I grew up in and around the ocean, I was so fascinated by those 10 years that I got to spend working at sea and discovering more about it. And it just shows you exactly how much more there is
Mhm.
to be discovered. It's just, it's massive. And I think for me, I'm going to say my last word now because I know it's almost close to that time. But I think if we can just take a step back, and I think for me personally, and I try and pass this ethos on, the simpler it is, the more natural it is, the better. So try and leave a place like you found it, like Suzy mentioned, pick up your papers, don't leave the bottles on the beach, all of those things. The less we interfere and do long-term damage into a space, the better it will survive. And I think that's really important to teach people.
And
Yeah.
also on that, I think is one step at a time, because sometimes you are expecting the government or people to intervene. It all start with you. If you stop throwing those dead on
Exactly.
ground,
Mhm.
Exactly.
it start
Yeah,
with you and teach your children, and that is how we all start and expand.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Beautiful, beautiful. And we don't take care of things that we don't know.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
bring awareness. I think this is key, and raise the kids around the nature and talking about that, because that's so important, so important.
Yes.
So, oh, I love this episode, and there's 1,000 things to discuss about nature and sustainability. And please, if you like this episode and want us to continue, tell us, because we have much more to talk about this issue. And so I want to thank you very much, Megan. Thank you, Susan. And thank you, everybody. So see you soon. Thank
Hi
you.
guys.
It's,
Bye
yeah,
bye.
yeah. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Bye.
We're crossing oceans, crossing skies, lifting each other as we rise. No more limits, no more walls. Together we answer the world's calls. World without borders, we are free, telling the stories of humanity. No more divide, we stand as one. Together, together, our journey's begun.